I caught my husband having an affair with my coworker during a business trip, and now he's threatening to publish explicit videos of me unless I agree to a divorce on his terms. My name is Emily, 30F, and for the past 7 years, I've been married to Adam, 32M. Our relationship seemed like the picture of stability. We had a modest house in the suburbs, no kids yet, but we were planning for it soon. Or at least, I thought we were. I thought everything was fine until the business trip. Adam works in corporate finance, and he travels a lot. It never really bothered me. We both have our careers, and I trusted him completely. He always told me about his trips in detail, where he stayed, what he did, who he met with. Sometimes he'd even send me pictures of his hotel room or the city he was visiting. So when he told me he had another business trip coming up, I didn't think anything of it. He said he'd be in Chicago for 3 days, attending meetings and networking events. Just the usual. But something was off this time. I couldn't put my finger on it, but Adam seemed more distant than usual. He wasn't texting as much as he usually did when he traveled, and when I called, he seemed distracted, like he wasn't really present in the conversation. I tried to shake off the feeling, convincing myself that he was just busy. But the gnawing pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. I decided to surprise him. My friend Sarah, 29F, thought I was crazy. You're going to fly all the way to Chicago just to check up on him. Emily, you're not one of those paranoid wives. Adam loves you. But something in me just wouldn't let it go. It wasn't about being paranoid. It was about this gut feeling that wouldn't leave me alone. So I booked a last-minute flight and showed up at his hotel unannounced, hoping I was just overthinking things. When I arrived at the hotel, it was late in the evening. I had tried calling Adam on the way there, but it went straight to voicemail. No answer. I took a deep breath, hoping he was just out grabbing dinner or at a meeting, but a part of me knew something wasn't right. I asked the front desk for his room number, and after a bit of awkward convincing that I was his wife, they finally gave it to me. I went up to his floor, my heart pounding in my chest. What was I even going to say when I saw him? Surprise, honey. I just flew halfway across the country to check up on you. I laughed at myself, trying to calm my nerves. But when I reached his room and heard voices inside, my stomach dropped. I froze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. It wasn't just Adam's voice. There was a woman with him. They were laughing, and my heart sank. I knew that laugh. It was Jenna, 28F, my coworker and apparently my husband's lover. I pushed open the door just a crack and peeked inside. There they were, tangled in the bed together, completely unaware of my presence. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My husband, the man I trusted more than anyone, was cheating on me with someone I worked with, someone I saw almost every day. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't even think straight. I slammed the door and ran down the hallway, barely able to breathe. My chest was tight, my vision blurry from the tears welling up in my eyes. I didn't know where to go or what to do. All I knew was that my marriage was over. How could he do this to me? How could he betray me like this? I found myself in the hotel lobby, trying to catch my breath. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Adam. Hey, babe. Just got out of a long meeting. Sorry I missed your call. What's up? I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. The audacity. He was lying to me while he was in bed with another woman. My mind was racing. Should I confront him now? Should I wait until we're back home? How long had this been going on? I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't respond to his message. Instead, I took the elevator back up to his room, but this time, I didn't hesitate. I stormed in, catching both of them off guard. Adam jumped out of bed, eyes wide in shock. Jenna scrambled to cover herself, but it was too late. The damage was done. Emily, what are you doing here? Adam stammered, clearly panicking. What am I doing here? I spat, my voice shaking with rage. What the f do you think I'm doing here, Adam? Jenna sat there, looking as if she was about to say something, but I didn't want to hear it. I turned to her, my voice cold and hard. Get out. She looked at Adam, waiting for him to say something, but he was too busy trying to find his pants. Jenna scrambled out of bed, grabbing her clothes off the floor, and bolted for the door, leaving Adam and me alone in the wreckage of our marriage. For a moment, the room was dead silent. I stood there, shaking with anger while Adam stood by the bed, at a complete loss for words. Finally, he spoke. "Emily, it's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like." I cut him off, my voice trembling. "You're sleeping with her, Adam. In our bed, while our baby sleeps in the next room. How long has this been going on?" He ran his hands through his hair, looking like he was about to have a meltdown. "It's just, I don't know. It was a mistake. I screwed up." "You think?" I shot back, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for you to find out like this." I felt my heart sink even further. He didn't mean for me to find out. That's what he was apologizing for. Not for the affair, not for betraying me, but for getting caught. I took a deep breath, trying to hold back the tears that were threatening to spill over. "I'm done, Adam. We're done." But then, just when I thought I had the upper hand, Adam's face shifted. The guilt was gone, replaced by something darker. His eyes narrowed, and he took a step toward me. "You think it's that easy?" he asked, his voice low and menacing. "You think you can just walk away?" I frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" He pulled his phone from his pocket and waved it in front of me. "I have videos, Emily. Of you. Intimate ones. If you don't agree to this divorce on my terms, I'll make sure everyone sees them." I stared at him in disbelief. My stomach twisted into knots as the realization hit me. He was blackmailing me, using our private moments as leverage to get what he wanted. I felt sick. The man I thought I knew, the man I had spent 7 years of my life with, was willing to destroy me to protect himself. "You wouldn't," I whispered, my voice barely audible. He smirked. "Try me." I couldn't breathe. I felt like the walls were closing in on me, and all I wanted to do was get as far away from him as possible. But I knew that wasn't an option. Not yet. If I left now, without a plan, he would follow through on his threat. I had no doubt about that. I needed to think. I needed to figure out how to protect myself from the man who was supposed to love me. And most of all, I needed to make sure he didn't ruin my life. I turned and walked out of the room without another word, but as I stepped into the hallway, I knew this was far from over. Adam wasn't going to let me go without a fight, and I wasn't sure if I had the strength to win. But I had to try. The next few days after my confrontation with Adam were a blur. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. Instead, I stayed in a hotel across town, trying to wrap my head around everything that had happened. The anger, the betrayal, and most of all, the blackmail. The thought of Adam holding those videos over my head was like a noose tightening around my throat, slowly suffocating me. I hadn't told anyone yet, not my friends, not my family. I wasn't sure how to explain what was happening without feeling completely humiliated. How do you tell people that your husband not only cheated on you but also threatened to expose intimate videos if you didn't comply with his demands? It felt like I had lost all control of my life, and I didn't know how to get it back. I spent hours on my phone searching for solutions. Could I get the videos back somehow? Was there a way to erase them from his phone without him knowing? But the more I searched, the more hopeless it felt. Adam wasn't stupid. He knew exactly what he was doing, and I was trapped in his web. I hadn't spoken to him since the night I caught him with Jenna, but I knew it was only a matter of time before he made his next move. He wasn't the type to sit back and wait for me to act. He wanted control, and he was going to take it by any means necessary. That's when I got the text. "Let's meet. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. We need to talk." It was from Adam. My heart raced as I stared at the message, dread pooling in my stomach. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to face him after everything that had happened, but I knew I didn't have a choice. If I ignored him, he would only escalate things, and I wasn't ready to lose everything: my reputation, my privacy, and possibly even my daughter. I texted back a simple "okay" and immediately regretted it. What was I doing? Why was I agreeing to meet him on his terms? But deep down, I knew why. I was scared. Scared of what he could do to me, scared of how far he would go to get what he wanted. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop where Adam had asked to meet. It was a small, out-of-the-way place, the kind of spot where no one would recognize us. I was early, of course. My nerves were shot, and I couldn't sit still in the hotel any longer. As I waited for him to show up, I rehearsed what I was going to say. I wanted to sound strong, composed, like I wasn't about to be pushed around. But the truth was, I felt anything but strong. When Adam finally walked in, my stomach flipped. He looked completely unbothered, as if nothing had happened. He even had the audacity to smile at me as he sat down across from me. I clenched my fists under the table, forcing myself not to react. "Thanks for meeting me," he said casually, as if this was just another one of our usual catch-up conversations. I stared at him, my anger simmering just below the surface. "Cut the crap, Adam. What do you want?" He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms over his chest. "I think you know what I want, Emily. I want this divorce to be as smooth as possible. I want us to part ways without any drama." I laughed bitterly. "No drama. You're blackmailing me, Adam. You're threatening to ruin my life if I don't give you what you want." He shrugged, completely unfazed. "I'm just protecting myself. I don't want things to get messy." Messy. I could feel my control slipping, my voice rising with every word. "You cheated on me with Jenna, and now you're holding those videos over my head like some kind of leverage. This is already messy, Adam. It's disgusting." He sighed, like he was tired of having to explain himself. "Look, I didn't want it to come to this, but you forced my hand. If you just agree to the terms, we can both walk away from this with our dignity intact." "Dignity?" I spat, shaking my head in disbelief. "You're talking to me about dignity?" Adam leaned forward, his expression darkening. "I don't think you understand, Emily. I'm not asking for much. I just want to keep what's mine, half of everything we've built together. I'm not going to walk away empty-handed, and you shouldn't either. But if you keep pushing me, you're going to regret it." I felt my chest tighten as his words sunk in. This wasn't just about the videos anymore. This was about control. Adam wanted to leave me with nothing, not just emotionally, but financially too, and he was willing to destroy me to get it. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "So what, Adam? If I don't agree to your terms, you'll release the videos? You'll ruin my life, our daughter's life, just to protect your precious ego." He smirked, and I wanted to punch him. "I don't want to, but if you push me, I will. You know I have no problem following through." I stared at him, the reality of the situation sinking in. I had two choices. I could play his game, give him what he wanted, and hope he kept his word. Or I could fight him, risk everything, and expose the truth. Either way, I was going to lose something. But I wasn't ready to give up just yet. Not without a fight. "I'll think about it," I said, my voice cold and detached. "But don't expect me to roll over for you." Adam grinned, clearly pleased with himself. "That's all I ask." I stood up, my hands trembling as I grabbed my purse. I couldn't look at him anymore. I needed to get out of there before I lost it completely. But as I turned to leave, Adam's voice stopped me. "Oh, and Emily, don't take too long. My patience is wearing thin." I didn't respond. I just walked out of the coffee shop, my mind racing with 1,000 different thoughts. I knew I needed to act fast, but I didn't know how. Adam had me cornered, and I had no idea how to get out of it without losing everything. As I drove back to the hotel, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Adam. Just a reminder of what's at stake. Attached was a screenshot of one of the videos. My heart stopped. He wasn't bluffing. I knew I couldn't trust him. I knew I couldn't let him win. But how the hell was I going to fight back when he had everything he needed to destroy me? I was spiraling. The screenshot of the video Adam had sent me sat there on my phone like a ticking time bomb, waiting to go off and take my life down with it. He had me exactly where he wanted, scared, vulnerable, and trapped. Every time I thought about calling his bluff, the reality hit me harder. If he released the videos, I would be ruined. The fallout would be unbearable. My job, my family, my reputation, all shattered in an instant. For the next few days, I'd avoided everyone. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts and calls from friends, family, and even coworkers who noticed something was off. But I couldn't bring myself to answer. What was I supposed to say? "Oh, I'm just dealing with the fact that my husband is blackmailing me with explicit videos." Yeah, no, I couldn't let anyone know what was really happening. I felt like I was walking around with a target on my back, like everyone knew something was wrong, even if they didn't say it out loud. The paranoia was getting to me. Everywhere I went, I imagined people whispering behind my back, watching me, judging me. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was only a matter of time before Adam hit send and my entire world came crashing down. In my desperation, I started considering options I never thought I'd have to think about. Could I hire someone to hack into Adam's phone and erase the videos? Could I get the police involved somehow? But then, what if they found out about the videos? Would they even care about the blackmail? I had no idea what was legal or illegal in a situation like this. All I knew was that Adam held all the cards, and I was playing the losing hand. On the third day after our meeting, I was holed up in the hotel room again, staring blankly at the television that was playing in the background. I hadn't eaten much, just enough to keep myself from collapsing. Every bite tasted like sawdust in my mouth, though, as the pit in my stomach grew larger with each passing hour. I could barely concentrate, barely think straight, and I knew I was running out of time. Adam wouldn't wait forever, and he would make sure I knew it. That evening, my phone rang. It was Jenna. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. What could she possibly want now? She had already destroyed my life by sleeping with my husband. Was there more she needed to do to drive the knife in deeper? Against my better judgment, I answered. Emily. Her voice was soft, cautious. Can we talk? I swallowed hard, my throat tight. What do you want, Jenna? I know you're mad at me, and you have every right to be, she began, her voice quivering slightly. But I think there's something you need to know about Adam. My pulse quickened, and I gripped the phone tighter. What are you talking about? She hesitated for a moment before continuing. I thought Adam and I had something real. But he's been lying to both of us. He's not who he says he is. I felt my stomach drop. What do you mean? I didn't know until recently, but Adam has been seeing other women. Not just me. There's a whole string of them. I thought I was the only one, but I wasn't. She sounded defeated, like she was trying to convince herself as much as me. He's been using all of us, Emily. Manipulating us, playing us against each other. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Why are you telling me this now? After everything. Because I didn't know the full truth until recently, Jenna said. I thought you should know before you make any decisions. He's dangerous, Emily. He's not going to stop at just blackmailing you. My hands were shaking. Why should I believe you? Because I'm scared of him too, she whispered. He's threatened me, Emily. After you left that night, he told me if I ever tried to expose him or leave him, he'd ruin me too. He has things on me, things that could destroy my life. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of sympathy for Jenna, but it quickly dissipated. She was still part of the reason I was in this mess in the first place. So what do you expect me to do about it? I asked, my voice hard. I'm already trapped. He's got me backed into a corner. We need to work together, she said urgently. If we both come forward, if we expose him together, he won't be able to take us both down. I was silent for a moment, the weight of her words sinking in. Could I really trust Jenna? Or was this just another manipulation, another way to play me? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized she was right. If Adam was manipulating and threatening both of us, we had to band together. Alone, he had all the power. Together, maybe we stood a chance. But it was a gamble, a huge risk. What if he retaliates? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. What if he releases the videos anyway? I don't know, Jenna admitted, her voice small. But if we don't do something, he's going to keep hurting people. He'll never stop. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. Everything inside me screamed to run, to hide, to do whatever it took to avoid Adam's wrath. But Jenna was right. He wouldn't stop. He'd keep coming after me, after her, after anyone he could manipulate. I'll think about it, I said finally. But if we're going to do this, we need to be smart about it. Jenna let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, Emily. I know I don't deserve your trust, but I promise you we're stronger together. After I hung up, I sat on the edge of the bed, my mind racing. Could I really trust Jenna? Or was I about to walk into another one of Adam's traps? The fear was suffocating, but I knew I couldn't live like this forever. I had to make a decision, and soon. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't let Adam control me anymore. He'd had taken too much already. My marriage, my peace of mind, my sense of safety. I had to take back some measure of control, even if it meant risking everything. The next morning, I made the call. I didn't tell Adam. I didn't tell Jenna. But I was done playing by their rules. I was going to fight back, and I was going to expose the truth, no matter the cost. I had nothing left to lose. The plan was set. I had been thinking about every possible scenario, every way this could backfire, but nothing would change the fact that I was in too deep. I was already suffocating in the chaos that Adam had created around me, and I was prepared for this to either blow up in his face or leave me completely destroyed. I hadn't told Jenna every detail, not yet. The truth was, I wasn't sure if I could trust her completely. After all, she had been the one in bed with Adam while my world fell apart. But for now, we needed each other. The enemy of my enemy was my only potential ally. I couldn't afford to go it alone. That morning, I called Jenna again. She picked up on the first ring, her voice trembling with nerves. "Are you ready?" she asked, her words quick and anxious. "I'm ready," I said, that my heart was racing. "But you need to meet me first. We need to go over everything, make sure we're on the same page." There was a pause on the other end of the line, followed by a nervous breath. "All right," she said finally. "Where?" I gave her the name of a small coffee shop a few blocks away from my apartment, somewhere public but quiet enough that we could talk without too many wandering eyes or ears. If this was going to work, we had to move fast, and we had to stay under the radar. An hour later, we sat across from each other in a corner booth, Jenna fidgeting with the edges of her napkin while I laid out the plan. "We're going to gather everything we have on him," I said, keeping my voice low. "Messages, photos, anything that proves what he's been doing to us. Once we have enough, we go public. We'll leak it ourselves before he has the chance to destroy us." Jenna nodded, though her hands still trembled as she took a sip of her coffee. "And what if he releases the videos before we can? What if he gets ahead of us?" I clenched my fists under the table. "We'll have to take that risk. If we wait too long, he'll make his move, and we'll lose any leverage we have. We need to act fast." Jenna bit her lip, her eyes darting nervously around the room. "And what if? What if he tries to hurt us? He's capable of anything, Emily." I knew she was right. Adam wasn't just manipulative, he was dangerous. But I couldn't let fear stop me from taking action. I couldn't live in this shadow any longer. "We can't let him win," I said firmly. "If we go down, we take him with us." Jenna hesitated for a moment, her gaze meeting mine. There was something in her eyes. Fear, desperation, but also determination. She was in this as much as I was, whether she liked it or not. She nodded slowly, and for the first time, I felt like we were truly on the same page. We agreed to meet later that evening at my apartment to go over everything we had. Jenna promised to bring any messages or photos she had from Adam, evidence that could expose his manipulations. I'd do the same. It wasn't going to be easy, but we had to act quickly. Every second we waited was another second Adam had to make his move. After Jenna left the coffee shop, I sat there for a few more minutes, letting my mind race through every possible outcome. I knew what we were doing was dangerous, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the only way out. I was trapped in a nightmare, and if I didn't act now, Adam would continue to destroy everything I had left. That evening, Jenna arrived at my apartment just after dusk. She looked more composed than she had earlier in the day, but I could still see the anxiety in her eyes. She was carrying a small folder, her hands clutching it tightly as she walked in. "Is that everything?" I asked, motioning toward the folder. Jenna nodded, handing it to me. "It's all the messages and photos I saved from him. He's been careful, but I think there's enough here to prove what he's been doing." I opened the folder and began to flit through the contents. Texts from Adam, photos of them together, proof of his manipulation and lies. It was all there, laid out in black and white. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I read the words, but I pushed it down. I couldn't afford to be emotional now. "This will work," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "We'll send this to the media, and we'll make sure everyone knows the truth." Jenna looked at me, her eyes wide. "Are you sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back." I met her gaze, my heart pounding in my chest. "I'm sure. It's time we take control." We spent the next few hours compiling everything. Texts, emails, photos, anything that could prove Adam's deceit. By the time we were done, the evidence was damning. It wasn't just about his affair with Jenna anymore. It was about the web of lies he had spun around both of us, using us as pawns in his twisted game. As we worked, the weight of the situation pressed down on me. This was it, the moment everything would change. I wasn't sure what the outcome would be, but I knew one thing. I couldn't live under Adam's control any longer. He had taken too much from me, and it was time to take it back. By the time Jenna left, it was nearly midnight. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the evidence we had gathered. Tomorrow, we would release it to the world. Tomorrow, everything would change. But as I sat there, the weight of it all pressing down on me, I couldn't shake the feeling that Adam wouldn't go down without a fight. He was dangerous, and I knew he would retaliate. The question was, how far would he go to protect himself? As I lay in bed that night, sleep eluded me. The events of the past few weeks played over and over in my mind. Adam's betrayal, Jenna's involvement, the threats, the blackmail. I had been dragged into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. But tomorrow, it would end. One way or another. But as the hours ticked by, a sense of dread began to creep in. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to go horribly wrong. And I was right. The morning sun barely broke through the clouds as I woke to the persistent buzzing of my phone. I hadn't slept more than an hour, my mind restless and uneasy from the weight of what Jenna and I were about to do. Today was the day. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and saw several missed calls. 3 from an unknown number and 1 from Jenna. My stomach turned. Something was wrong. I called Jenna back immediately, pacing the room as it rang. She picked up on the first ring, her voice barely a whisper, shaky with fear. "Emily, they know." I froze. "What?" "Who knows?" "Adam," she said, her voice cracking. "He knows what we were planning. He found out about the evidence we've been gathering. He's already making his move." I could feel my pulse in my throat as a wave of panic washed over me. "How does he know? What's happening?" Jenna's voice trembled. "He's been one step ahead of us the whole time. He hacked into my phone. He saw the text between us. He knows about the files we were planning to leak." Dropped onto the edge of my bed, my heart racing. "What did he do? Jenna, what did he do?" There was silence on the other end before she spoke again, her words coming out in a hurried, breathless whisper. "He's sending out the videos, Emily. The ones he's been threatening us with. I just got a message from him. He's already uploaded them to a private site, and he's going to release them unless we stop everything." I felt like the air had been sucked from the room. The videos. The same ones he had been holding over me for weeks, dangling the threat like a sword over my head. It was happening. I could feel the world closing in around me, the panic tightening its grip on my chest. "What do we do?" Jenna asked, her voice pleading. "What the hell do we do now?" I stood up, my mind racing. There was no way out now. Adam had escalated things beyond our control, and it was clear he wasn't going to let us walk away from this unscathed. He wanted to ruin us. He wanted to burn everything down. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the chaos in my mind. "We released the evidence anyway," I said, my voice firm. "We can't back down now. If we give in to him, we lose everything." "But the videos," Jenna whimpered. "He'll destroy us with those." I clenched my fists, anger bubbling up inside me. "He's already destroying us. This is our only chance to take control. If we don't do this, he wins." There was a long pause before Jenna responded, her voice quiet and resigned. "Okay, let's do it." I hung up the phone, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew what we were up against, and I knew the risks, but there was no turning back now. I opened my laptop, pulling up the files we had spent the night compiling. With shaking hands, I attached them to an email addressed to a local journalist I knew from college, a woman who had a reputation for taking down powerful men who thought they were untouchable. I hovered over the send button for a moment, my mind racing with every possible outcome. I knew Adam wouldn't take this lying down, but I also knew that I couldn't let him continue to control me, to manipulate me and Jenna like we were his playthings. With one final breath, I hit send. It was done. Now all we could do was wait. An hour passed, then 2. I hadn't heard from Jenna since our call, and the silence was suffocating. Every minute felt like an eternity, my nerves fraying with each passing second. I kept checking my phone, expecting to see Adam's name pop up at any moment, but there was nothing. Then, just after noon, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Adam. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Adam, you think you can win this, Emily? You have no idea what's coming." I stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. The threat was clear. Adam wasn't done. He was going to fight back, and I had no doubt that he would do whatever it took to bury us. But I wasn't scared anymore. I was angry, furious even. He had taken everything from me, my dignity, my trust, my sense of security, and now he was trying to take my life apart piece by piece. But I wasn't going to let him. I had already lost so much. I had nothing left to fear. Later that afternoon, the first article went live. The journalist had done her job well. She didn't just post the evidence we had sent her, she had dug into Adam's past, exposing a web of deceit that went far deeper than we had anticipated. There were more women, more victims of his manipulation, all of them too afraid to come forward until now. The story exploded. Social media was flooded with outrage, and within hours, Adam's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. His professional reputation was in tatters, his business associates distancing themselves from him as quickly as possible. But it wasn't over. That evening, as I sat in my apartment, my phone rang. It was Jenna. "Emily," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's happening. He's releasing the videos." I felt a cold chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" "He just sent me a link," Jenna said, her voice shaking. "The videos are online. He's doing it." My heart dropped. The nightmare we had been dreading was becoming a reality. Adam was going to ruin us, just like he had promised. I could already feel the walls closing in, the fear tightening around me like a noose. But then something strange happened. As I sat there, staring at my phone, waiting for the world to collapse around me, nothing happened. No messages, no calls, no floods of comments or accusations. I checked the link Jenna had sent me, and that's when I realized what had happened. The videos were fake. Adam, in his desperation to maintain control, had tried to create explicit videos that would ruin us. But they weren't real. He had fabricated them, using manipulated footage and doctored images to make it look like Jenna and I were caught in compromising situations. But the moment the videos went live, people saw through them. The internet turned against Adam, exposing his lies for what they were. Within hours, the videos were taken down, and Adam's plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of ruining us, he had only cemented his downfall. As I sat there, watching the chaos unfold online, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It was over. We had won. But even in victory, the scars remained. Adam had taken so much from us, and though he had been exposed, the damage he had done would never fully heal. I knew I would carry the weight of this nightmare with me for the rest of my life. But at least now, I was free. And Adam, he was finally getting what he deserved.